So, yeah, boring. We're celebrating the mundane, the ordinary, and the everyday. And when I was trying to come up with a topic for this talk, I thought there's nothing more everyday than the calendar. So yeah, calendars, and as you've just heard, I'm into numbers in a little bit of a way, and I enjoy the way the calendars have been broken down into these 365 days, the 12 months, the 7-day weeks, and it's odd the way that these numbers don't actually fit together properly, which causes problems, which we're going to come to in a minute. But the other thing that I enjoy about calendars are these little pop-up stores that come on in the shopping centres around Christmas time. We've all seen them, these calendars that pop this. A nice little one there, the cats with arms. People that follow me on Twitter probably know about the headless pigeon. But ladies and gentlemen, this, I'm sure, is going to be your favourite, the I Am James Ward 2014 calendar. And now is your chance, ladies and gentlemen, to see that belly button there. Not actually real, but let's have a look at May of this year. And May is slightly interesting because it has 5 Saturdays in it. And people will tell you that this is something that happens only once every 800 years. It does rounds on Facebook and things like that. It's bollocks. It's not true. August this year has got 5 Saturdays in it as well. But here we are, May the 31st, the boring conference, or boring for. Oh, sorry. Just zap somebody with a laser. And today is also International No Tobacco Day, so no fag breaks at lunchtime. More happily, today is also National Macaroon Day. If you aren't going to eat a macaroon, make sure you eat it in a slightly seductive and weird way. It turns out that every day of the year has got a food or drink day associated with it. If boring had been held last Saturday, then it would have been National Snail Eating Day. And just look, oh. It's going, it's that, you can imagine that little eye just going back then as it touches her tongue. But anyway, to business. First of all, why does the year have 365 days? This is something that was known to the ancients, the ancient Egyptians, thousands of years ago. You just sit yourself in front of a fixed point, like an obelisk there, and watch some sort of celestial body, a star or the sun, go drifting past, and 365 days later, it will drift past in exactly the same position. Again, they were able to measure that and measure it quite accurately. And it's 365 days, but it's not exactly 365 days. There is a bit. And that bit, which was measured again quite accurately by those ancient Egyptians, 5 hours, 48 minutes and 45 seconds, about a quarter of a day. But this causes problems. If you imagine your birthday on a particular date, let's say it's a date in the summer, eventually, because of that 5 hours, 48 minutes and 45 seconds, your birthday is going to drift away. Your birthday might start off in the summer, and you would have to live for hundreds of years for this to happen, but your birthday would drift into the winter. And so that causes problems with calendars, people who are interested in having birthdays, or clerics, people who have to pay wages, people chronicling. It was a problem with the calendar. So one of the people in the Western world to sort this out was a Roman emperor. Yeah. Not that one. Emperor Caesar, 46 BC. And he did a bit of invading around the Egyptian areas at that time, and so he probably got the idea from them of having an extra quarter day added onto the calendar. So that 365 days and a bit, they rounded the bit up to being a quarter. Obviously, you can't stick a quarter day into the calendar, so this was the concept of the leap year, having an extra day stuffed into the calendar every 4 years. And that works to an extent, but it still made the year a little bit too long. Caesar had a year with an added 11 minutes and 14 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but sort of over the centuries, the calendar started to drift again, and by about the 16th century, it was out by about 10 days, which was starting to cause problems. So again, it took somebody in Rome to sort it out. Sexy Pope. Not that Pope. It was Pope Gregory the 13th. No, Pope Gregory. No, you are not sexy with your bonnet and your weirdly long hands. So, Pope Gregory, in October of, I think it was 1582, if I remembered my talk. Yeah. What he actually did was to tip X out 10 days of the calendar. The 5th to the 14th were just gone. They went straight from the 4th to the 15th. Can I have a show of hands? Is there anybody in the room with a birthday from the 5th to the 14th of October? Tough luck. If you were there in 1582, no cards, no party, no presents, nothing. And people did actually riot about this. It caused big problems that these 10 days were being taken out of people's lives. But then what Pope Gregory did as well was to tweak the leap years a little bit. So, still the years divisible by 4 were leap years, but he took out years divisible by 100. So, more recently, 1700, 1800, 1900 wouldn't be leap years, but it left in the years divisible by 400. So, 1600 or the year 2000 would still be leap years. And that is a remarkably accurate tweak to the calendar. Out by just 26 seconds. Not bad for a pope wearing a bonnet. So that is the 365-day year. I'm going to skip through a couple of things now. There's the month as well. The original moon. Noel Fielding fans will recognise that. Then the month is based on the lunar cycle of around 30 days. That's why we have 30-day months. And then we've got the days of the week as well. We've inherited those from the Romans, largely. The Romans named the 7 days of the week after the 7 celestial bodies that moved around in the sky. And we've got slightly corrupted versions of those with a couple of Norse gods thrown in as well. That's how we get our 7 days of the week. But here's the problem, and this is a little gift that I'm going to give you to in a moment. So childish. I'm sorry. I'm going to show you something absolutely amazing about days of the week now. And I'm going to need some help with this. I need some people to verify this for me. Who can catch? It's free crisps. Oh, okay. Brilliant. And what I'd need you to do for me, please, is verify the best before dates on those packets of crisps. I've got them on the screen there. Squeak at me if that's wrong, but it should be right. And what I'm sure that you're all immediately noticing about these best before dates on packets of Walker's crisps is that they're always a Saturday. Every single packet of Walker's crisps that exists goes out of date on a Saturday. And I like to imagine some celebrities eating those crisps on their birthdays. These best before dates, that's the Bono's birthday, eating the squares. Who got the squares, by the way? They're already out of date. I'm sorry about that. So eat them at your own risk. I'm sure they're fine. There's that Shane from Westlife having some prawn cocktail crisps on his best before birthday. That's Sam Worthington. I have to have that explained to me who that was, but that's Sam Worthington's birthday. He's an actor in films, apparently. And there's, Jack Whitehall having a couple of Watsits. But so the mystery of why Walker's crisps go out of date on a Saturday, I emailed them. And this was the response. Dear Dr. Dignum, I love it when they Dr. Dignum me. Thank you for your recent email regarding Walker's Crisps and Snacks. I would like to advise that our production line always starts on a Sunday. The shelf life of our products is 12 weeks, therefore the best before date will always fall on a Saturday. I don't understand it, and I think that you're thinking it as well. It's more likely... Illuminati conspiracy. Right. A couple of years ago, I did talk about the square root of 2, where I made you do algebra, and there's going to be no algebra today. Sigh of relief, but there's a tiny bit of maths, and so I need you to concentrate a little bit. This is John Conway. He's a professor of mathematics at Princeton University. He's not the same Conway that this place is named after, but it's still a nice coincidence all the same. And he's more famous for this, which is called Conway's Game of Life. Has anybody heard of that? There are geeks in the room. That's brilliant. But this is your homework. Look up, Google Conway's Game of Life. It's brilliant. It will blow your mind. But we're not going to do that now. So, it's really important, just to make sure you're awake, that you concentrate on this bit. You've all got some cards with Conway's Doomsday algorithm on them. Love the rustling noise. Now, Conway, this is a party trick to enable you to work out the day of the week for any given date, past or future. You can get somebody to name a date, and you'll be able to tell them after a few moments forth what the day of the week is. But you've got to memorise a couple of things. Now, what Conway did was to identify days that he called Doomsdays. Now, I don't know why he called them Doomsdays, it's just a cool word, and John Conway's a dude. But for the Doomsday, it's days of the week, or calendar dates, that are the same day of the week throughout the calendar. So he chose the last day of February as a Doomsday, which means in March, anything on the 7 times table will also be the same day of the week there. And then for the even-numbered months, it's quite pleasing. The Doomsday day of the month is also the number of the month. So the 8th of August will be the same day of the week as the last day of February. For the odd-numbered months, it's a little bit more complicated, but you've just got to remember a little mnemonic, working 9 to 5 at the 7-11. Like in May, the 5th month, it's the 9th that is the Doomsday. And then swapping over in September, it's September the 5th that is the Doomsday. And the same little swap over the 7 and 11 between November and July. So that's the first little thing you need to sort of keep in mind. Then Conway gave numbers to each of the days of the week. They're easy to remember. Just remember Tuesday and 5-day, things like that. Got that in your head? And then this, don't worry too much about this yet. This is a little century offset for each century, a little number that we're going to add in. The calendar repeats itself every 4 years. So if somebody's being really smart-ass with you and gives you a date in the 2200s, then this pattern repeats. So the 2200s offset is a 5. Right, let's do this thing. We'll use today as an example because we already know what day of the week 31st of May 2014 is. And you've just got to work your way through those 6 questions. How many times does 12 go into the 2-digit number of the year? So just 12 into 14 only goes once. What was the remainder? What was remainder 2? Then how many times does 4 go into that remainder? 4s don't go into 2, so you just stick a 0 in there. And then this is the century offset. Yeah, so for the 2000s, that's a 2 offset. And all you need to do is add those numbers together, which gives you 5. Sometimes this number will be rather larger, and then what you just need to do to bring it down to the day of a week number is subtract whole multiples of 7 from that number. In this case, we don't even need to do that, so we'll end up with a 5. So that is the Doomsday for the year of 2014. 5 equals Friday. So it means all of these dates, the last day of February, and all the others will be Fridays there. And you can use that. It's like you remember that Boxing Day will be a Friday, but it's a Boxing Day and Halloween are Doomsdays as well. Help you to remember when Christmas is. We're looking at May. So we've said that May the 9th is a Friday because that's the Doomsday for May. And so then you can just work forwards to today's date. The 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th would all be Fridays. So today is a Saturday. We've done it. So we're so clever that even my cat is pleased. We'll quickly rattle through another example. Wall Street crash. This was known as Black Tuesday and happened on 29th of October 1929. This is a newspaper front page from that time, and it's also worth having a quick look at this. A woman who appears to be pregnant with the head of a fully grown man. Jury believes her story. I'm not sure I do. So, yeah, 29th of October 1929. Let's do it again. How many times does 12 go into the year number? Twice this time, with a remainder of 5. How many times does 4 go into that remainder? Just the once. And then what is the century offset, this anchor day for the 1900s? And it's a 3 in that case, if you have a look at your cards. So you add those 4 numbers up again to get 11. And this time, you have got to subtract a whole multiple of 7, just 7 from it, to give you 4. So that will be the Doomsday for 1929, 4. A Thursday. And there's a shortcut there because we know that Halloween is a Doomsday, and so we can just work backwards from that one. If the 31st of October was a Thursday, then 2 days before the 29th was a Black Tuesday. So you see it works for any date that you care to name. Hope you've got all that. That's why we printed out some little cards. If you didn't get all that, try and just remember the Doomsdays for the year. So it's Friday this year, it'll be Saturday next year, it always just goes forwards one day. And if you can just memorise the Doomsdays, then you'll always know what day of the week any date in the coming year is going to be. If you don't want to do that, you've got a postcard, and there it's quite good for catching spiders with the glass and things like that. So it just remains for me then to say thank you for listening to my little talk about calendars, and I'll leave you with just another treat from the James Ward calendar. I'll be selling copies of that in the foyer.